Hey everybody, good morning. My name's Todd Wheeles. I'm with the law firm of Morris Haynes here in Birmingham, Alabama, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, about our firm, and how we got involved in firearm defect litigation. I've been practicing law 18 years here in the state of Alabama. Came to work with our firm in October of 2002, and we had historically been a personal injury, wrongful death, insurance fraud plaintiff's firm. And I was very happy to be involved in a firm like that, because for the 12 years before, I had been in law enforcement. I had been a deputy sheriff, then a state trooper, then an agent with the Alabama Bureau of Investigation. So getting out of the criminal arena was something I was really looking forward to. During that time, of course, I got exposed and became very familiar with many different kinds of firearms, having carried a gun every day for over a decade. I still carry every day handguns, rifles, shotguns. So when I came to work with the firm, we didn't do a lot. We did some product liability work as it related to automobiles. We did crashworthiness case. Every now and then we would do a different product, but rarely, I don't guess we had ever done a firearm defect case until about 12 years ago. My law partner, Clay Hornsby, had a lawyer in Gadsden refer him a what we call drop fire case, where a young man was carrying a 9mm striker fired handgun, and it fell out of from about waist height. When it hit the ground, it went off and shot him and almost killed him. And that's called the Maroney case. That was our first case. So Clay got the case referred to him. He was not that familiar with firearms, and me being a gun guy and active in the shooting sports, he put it on my desk and said, "Hey, what do you think about it?" Well, in my opinion, at the time, I had the opinion that modern firearms shouldn't fire when dropped. I had a blind faith in most firearms manufacturers, that they would manufacture and test their products to make sure the safety devices worked on those firearms. As we got involved in that case, we hired some experts. I hired a gentleman from Montgomery, Alabama, who had worked for the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences in their firearms division for many, many years. Said, "Hey, Joe," his name's Joe Saloom, he's a lawyer in Montgomery now, "test this gun, see what you think, tell me if it'll fire if it's been dropped." Again, I was going to have to prove to myself that it happened the way our guy said it happened. Well, sure enough, that weapon, if you drop it, that design, the safety devices fail, it will fire. So we litigated that case against Taurus in Gadsden, Alabama, which is Etowah County, the northeast part of Alabama. Tried it to a jury. A jury found in favor of us and awarded $1.25 million to our guy, Adam Maroney, who had been shot and suffered terribly as a result of this defective firearm. Now, in every case, everybody blames the user. All right? Just be prepared. If you're an individual that carries a gun, if you're an individual that's in the shooting sports, and an accident or an unintended discharge happens, be prepared to be blamed, even if it's not your fault. All right? In Adam's case, he had the gun in a holster. He had the safety device engaged. The safety was engaged. The manual safety was engaged. And there were supposedly passive safeties, internal safeties in the weapon that should have prevented it from firing. When it hit the ground, it fired anyway. When the deputies got there, the manual safety was still engaged. The slide, the manual safety on that model pistol, the Taurus PT-111, the first generation, that manual safety locks the slide in place. So the slide couldn't operate when the weapon fired. The spent shell casing was still in the chamber when the deputy sheriff recovered the weapon at the scene of the shooting. Well, the more research I did, I was shocked to find out that the federal government there's no entity or organization at the federal level that actually tests safety devices on firearms. And I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. A Nerf gun that you buy at any big box store for your kid has been tested. A toaster oven has been tested to make sure it's not going to burn your house down. Your microwave, your blender, your cordless telephone, back when people had home phones at home, any device that plugs into a kitchen outlet is tested by different entities to make sure that it's not going to fail. Nobody tests firearms. You have to rely on the manufacturers to do the testing, which is crazy to me. I mean, I'm a gun guy. I don't want anybody's right to own a firearm to be taken away, but I've got children, and my son is 21. He's going in the Navy, and I want him, if he goes and buys a firearm, to be able to rely on the safety devices in that firearm. My children and grandchildren, and on and on. I want them to be able to safely enjoy the shooting sports and rely on the safety devices. Well, it leaves us as consumers, do your research on if you're interested in purchasing a firearm, whether it's in the primary, if you're going to your local gun shop, do your research on the firearm before you make the purchase. Look, the internet there's a lot of good stuff out there, there's a lot of bad stuff out there, but there's some great forums, there's some great discussion pages out there where you can go and see if anybody else has had any problems, whether it's with the fire control device, the triggers, whether it's the safeties, whether it's failure to feed, failure to function. I mean, there's all kind of problems that you run into, and right now I'm just basically talking about handguns, semi-automatic striker-fired handguns. So do your research. Make sure that you believe you're purchasing a reputable product from a reputable manufacturer. Now, in certain countries, here in America, let's say there's a manufacturer in a foreign country in South America, and in other countries, product liability law may not exist, which means if you're in country X in Central America and they make guns there, if they make a gun that will fire if it's bumped into a table and it shoots you in Central America, you have no recourse. Okay, you can't sue the manufacturer for making a bad product. Well, a lot of those companies are forming American subsidiaries and importing those weapons into America and selling them. Hey, again, this is Todd. I'm so happy that you guys have watched the video. Thank you so much. I would love for you to like it, share the video. If anyone needs to see this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have comments, please send them to me. Go to our website, www.mhhlaw.net. There's a link to my email address on there. My email address is twheeles, and I'll spell that twheeles@mhhlaw.net. Shoot me an email if you have a question. Again, I am an active handgunner. I carry a gun every day. I believe in our Second Amendment right. I also believe that manufacturers of firearms have an obligation and a duty to us, the consumer, to make it as safe as possible.